Man saves fawn hit by arrow and orphaned bear cub. You won't believe what happens next. When a man stumbled upon a wounded fawn struck by an arrow and an orphaned bear cub in desperate need of help, he couldn't turn away. What began as an act of compassion quickly unfolded into a story full of unexpected twists and heartwarming moments. A man rescued a fawn injured by an arrow and an orphaned bear cub, bringing both animals into his home. Initially cautious of each other, the two wild creatures soon formed a deep bond under the care of their compassionate owner. Austin, who had always loved animals and nature, grew up exploring forests with his parents, where he developed a lifelong admiration for wildlife. As a child, Austin was captivated by the sight of deer, rabbits, and squirrels playing at the forest's edge. He dreamed of living close to nature, where he could experience its beauty daily. After finishing school, Austin pursued his passion by becoming a ranger in a national park, a job that let him immerse himself in the outdoors, care for the forest, and assist lost hikers. In his free time, Austin eagerly studied the habits of local wildlife, including deer, bears, lynxes, and many other animals. At 35, he decided to fulfill his lifelong dream of living near the forest. He sold his city apartment and purchased a small, cozy house on the edge of the woods. Overjoyed, Austin embraced his new life, savoring the fresh pine-scented air and waking each morning to the cheerful songs of birds. He felt truly free and one with nature. One early morning, while Austin was walking around his yard, he heard strange sounds. Like a child's faint moan, following the troubling sounds, he walked around the house and was horrified to find a small fawn in his backyard with an arrow sticking out of its hind leg. The poor thing was clearly in a lot of pain and couldn't move properly. At that moment, Austin realized the fawn would die if it didn't get immediate help. Carefully approaching the wounded animal, Austin extended his hands, trying to calm the fawn with a quiet and gentle voice. The fawn initially tried to run away, but then understood the man meant no harm. Austin carefully removed the arrow from the fawn's wound, treated it with antiseptic, and bandaged it. Realizing the fawn couldn't survive alone, he brought it home, making a cozy bed in a large box and feeding it milk from a bottle. Initially fearful, the fawn gradually warmed up to Austin, even seeming to see him as a foster parent. Over the weeks, Austin devotedly cared for the fawn, cleaning and rebandaging its wound and ensuring it was comfortable. Soon, the timid creature began hopping playfully around the house, nuzzling its rescuer. Though Austin knew the fawn belonged in the wild, he grew deeply attached and decided to wait until it was fully healed, naming it Spencer. One day, while Austin was walking in the forest with his faithful dog, Scout, the dog suddenly barked and dashed into the bushes. Austin followed and was surprised to find a whining bear cub on the forest edge. There was no sign of the mother bear nearby, so Austin decided to wait a bit, knowing how dangerous an adult bear could be. After waiting a few hours for the cub's mother to return, Austin realized she wasn't coming back. Feeling for the tiny creature, he took the bear cub home, stopping at a store on the way to buy baby formula. At home, he fed the cub from a bottle and prepared a cozy bed in a box lined with soft blankets. A few days later, Austin introduced the fawn, Spencer, to the new arrival. Aware of the natural predator-prey dynamic, he stayed ready to intervene if needed. When Spencer saw the bear cub, he froze in confusion and fear. The cub growled initially but soon became curious, staring at the fawn with interest. The bear cub slowly approached Spencer, and the two began to cautiously sniff each other. Austin was relieved that the bear cub showed no aggression, just trying to understand what this unusual creature living with him was. After a few days, the bear cub and fawn became much friendlier. The cub and fawn even licked each other, strengthening their bond to the delight of their kind owner. Soon, the unusual pair became inseparable. Tuck, the bear cub, quickly adapted to his new home, spending days playing with Spencer and nights sleeping in his cozy box. Austin provided toys and treats, ensuring their comfort. Though he occasionally doubted keeping a bear, the tender friendship between the fawn and the cub reassured him. Within weeks, Tuck became as affectionate as Spencer, allowing Austin to pick him up and scratch his belly. While Austin was at work, Tuck eagerly awaited his return, cheered on by Scout, the dog. Scout wagged his tail, licking Spencer and Tuck to invite them to play, and the trio would joyfully romp across the lawn. Scout would bark and circle around them, sharing their excitement in this fun game. Sometimes, the four-legged mischief makers would run into Austin's flower garden and start carefully sniffing the fragrant buds. Of course, Scout would quickly chase them out to avoid the wrath of their owner. In the evenings, when Austin came home from work, three furry friends would rush to meet him, wagging their tails and jumping with joy. Austin warmly embraced all three pets, grateful for his big and friendly family. He prepared special meals for each, tender branches and hay for the Fawn, Scout's favorite canned food, and buckwheat porridge with dried fruits for Tuck. Life in Austin's new home was filled with joy and the occasional mishap, like when Tuck swallowed a shoe or Spencer tangled himself in freshly dried sheets, adding humor to his days. As months passed, Spencer grew into a majestic deer with impressive antlers, while Tuck became a plump yet gentle bear, resembling a giant plush toy. Scout remained the lively troublemaker, keeping everyone entertained. Yet, Austin couldn't ignore the thought that someday the deer and bear would need to return to the wild. He worried if they would manage on their own in the wild after living so long in a human home. On the other hand, Austin understood that keeping wild animals at home was too selfish on his part. To help his pets regain and strengthen their survival skills, Austin started taking them to the nearby forest during his work shifts. Sometimes, he also took Scout to watch over the playful duo. Austin showed the Fawn edible plants and taught the bear cub to find roots and berries. The sight was very amusing. Rudolph would munch on grass and leaves with gusto, while his bear friend would follow him, trying the same treats and grimacing at their strange taste. This went on for several months until one sunny day, Austin decided it was finally time to release his pets into the wild. With a heavy heart, he took Rudolph and Tuck deep into the forest, which was far from human settlements. Austin tried not to cry, knowing that saying goodbye to true friends is always very hard. At first, the deer and bear didn't want to leave Austin. They circled around him, lying down and wagging their tails as if begging him not to abandon them. This moved Austin deeply, and he barely held back his tears, understanding that this was best for the wild animals. Finally, after several attempts, Austin managed to drive Spencer and Tuck away with sharp gestures and loud cries. Watching the retreating figures of the bear and deer, Austin cried quietly, feeling an emptiness inside. After so many months together, it was hard to just part with the pets. Scout also tucked his tail and looked guiltily at his owner, as if apologizing for being unable to help. In the evening, returning home, Austin felt acute loneliness in the empty house. Forgotten toys and beds lay scattered around, stirring memories of when the house was filled with joy and life. The lingering sense of honey and hay tugged at his heart, bringing a sting to his eyes. That evening, sleep eluded him as he listened to every rustle, clinging to the naive hope that Spencer and Tuck would somehow find their way back home. The next day, Austin returned to the forest, hoping to catch a glimpse of his former pets from afar. His heart swelled with happiness when two familiar figures emerged from the edge of the woods. Now fully grown, Spencer and Tuck had remained inseparable, having done everything together since their early days. Spotting Austin, the animals wagged their tails with joy and ran to greet him. Austin sat on the grass, embracing his beloved companions and breathing in their familiar forest scent. Tears of joy rolled down his cheeks as he realized that Spencer and Tuck hadn't forgotten him and had returned to bid farewell to the man who had once saved their lives. In that heartfelt moment, Austin felt certain that their unbreakable bond of friendship would help them thrive and adapt to their new life in the wild. It was a profoundly touching scene, one that Austin would cherish for the rest of his days. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.